This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 14th day of October in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Chairperson of the People's National Congress, Valda Lawrence, was this morning charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to defraud, one day after she was questioned by the police on issues pertaining to allegations of electoral fraud. Mrs. Lawrence is accused of conspiring with the Region 4 returning officer, Clement Mingo, to declare a fraudulent account of votes at the regional and general level for the elections. She appeared before the Chief Magistrate Ann McLennan and was granted bail in the sum of $50,000 each under 2 charges. She has denied any wrongdoing and any connection with electoral fraud.
I remain strong. I know I've done nothing wrong. And I continue to say that because that is what it is, as the PPP used to say during the 24 years that, we will have our say and they will have their way. I think that is what we are seeing here.
And Attorney Nigel Hughes, who's representing Mrs. Lawrence, said it is becoming clearer that the objective of the police is to embarrass and harass the political leadership of the opposition.
We suspect it is not the last set of charges based on the statements made by the prosecution today. Upon inquiry from the magistrate whether they intended to consolidate all the matters at some stage, Mr. Mohammed said yes, but he couldn't say when.
The attorney also noted that the prosecutor was not ready to proceed with the case, and the next hearing will therefore be on the 9th of December, when he's hoping the case will move forward.
So, given the pattern of conduct that is emerging, it appears as if they intend to have the leadership of one of the political parties constantly running to the police station and then bringing them to court. It is my hope that it could be a little bit more efficiently run when they've completed their investigation, if they can consolidate all that they have to allege, make one job of it so that we don't have to continue to waste your time, and certainly waste Ms. Lawrence's time, in coming here, other than if there's some other intent, which is to have Ms. Lawrence exercise and be humiliated every time she has to attend the police station.
The Guyana Police Force is still conducting its probe into the allegations of fraud at the 2020 elections. Already, a number of GCOM staffers, including the Chief Elections Officer and his deputy, are facing charges in the court related to the same investigations and allegations. The investigation was triggered by the private criminal charges that were filed by PP Civic member Charles Ramson Jr. More news coming up in a moment. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc.
Design, photography, advertising, you name it, we do it. At Mass Global Media, we offer high-quality, versatile media and marketing solutions that will help your business reach its goals. Contact us now if you want a website developed, graphic design, social media marketing, animation, and much more by emailing info@massglobalmedia.com or call 658-5636. Mass Global Media. Vision, execution, results.
Been through it all.
But as a people we have
weathered every storm
And risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class, or religion.
we are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Welcome back. Guyana recorded 24 new cases of coronavirus as of midnight last night. The total number of active cases now stands at 980, as 52 persons made full recoveries in the past 24 hours. The Ministry of Health continues to encourage citizens to wear a face mask when out in public. The National COVID-19 Task Force has started a mass distribution drive across the country. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony today said he is concerned about what continues to take place in the markets, as many vendors appear to be putting themselves and their customers at risk.
When you go into the markets, the vendors know that they have to wear a mask, but many of them, they have the mask in their pockets. So when you ask them, why is it that you're not wearing your mask? Then they would say, well, I'm taking a break, right? Well, you don't know who is that person coming to your stall and whether or not they are infected with COVID and they can transmit it. So you have to be cautious all the time once you're in the public space. And hopefully we'll get people to be more compliant.
For the municipal markets in the city, the Georgetown City Council has put in place fines for those vendors who are caught without their mask. But even with those fines, several of them have been flouting the COVID-19 regulations. Let's tell you now that the Guyana Public Service Union has renewed its call for all health workers to be classified as frontline workers and therefore be eligible for risk allowances and other benefits. The union's position has been bolstered by healthcare workers in regions 3, 5, 6, and 10 and at the Georgetown Hospital, who share the same view and have made the recommendation to the investigative team from the Public Service Union and the government. The team has been traveling across the country to meet with public health workers in wake of the demands of the Georgetown Hospital nurses for improved working conditions and risk allowances as they battle the COVID-19 pandemic. During the meetings in the various regions, the healthcare workers always concerned about the limited number of personal protective gear that has been made available to them and their general working conditions. In a statement today, the GPSU said at each of the locations visited in the regions, there was general support from the health workers that all categories of health workers must be classified as frontline workers. The Guyana Public Service Union said a lot of the information garnered from the health workers is very enlightening and encouraging, and the union also anticipates more candid discussions at other healthcare facilities across the country. The union today said it is anticipating an urgent and positive response from the government as it relates to the payment of risk allowances to the healthcare workers. The government started discussions with the union and launched a countrywide listening tour following threats from health workers at the Georgetown Hospital. The workers threatened strike action unless their concerns were addressed by the government speedily. A report and recommendations for the government are expected to be presented by next week. An investment team from the U.S. led by the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation completed a visit to Guyana yesterday with hopes and plans to bring more investment to the country under the U.S. government's Growth in the Americas initiative. The agency was formed 2 years ago. The Development Finance Corporation is a development finance institution of the U.S. federal government and is primarily responsible for providing and facilitating the financing of private development projects. That's according to the U.S. Embassy. Officials of the bank and members of the delegation met yesterday with representatives of the private sector, and last evening they were hosted at a reception at State House. The Chief Executive Officer, Adam Boller, said the agency is already eyeing a number of investment initiatives, including ways to bring down electricity costs, small and medium-sized businesses, agriculture, and infrastructure.
We have now a foundation for an elevated and strengthened relationship between the United States and Guyana. And I think it started with the finalization of the elections, the democratic elections here that gave us the basis. And the administration here's commitment to private enterprise, transparency, and rule of law.
The private sector commissioners are expected to identify other areas of possible investment and cooperation. The chairman of the PSC, Nicholas Boyer, welcomed the visit by the American investors and their partnership with the PSC.
I think that it's great. It's a great time for us because we can grow in our partnership with the U.S., which we clearly have an affinity for and a large diaspora in, and a target market for agricultural exports. And we have a great partner now who can provide access to capital and help us with our infrastructure build out to really unlock the potential of a number of sectors in Guyana.
The two sides are expected to follow up on their discussions. The Guyana Police Force is seeking at least 4 suspects who it believes are responsible for that daring armed robbery at a Hugo Chinese supermarket in Melanie on the east coast of the Marara last evening. After attacking the owner of the business place, the armed men carted off $1.4 million in cash, the surveillance video recorder, and a number of other items, including phone cards. The security guard on duty was taken into custody for questioning after he was relieved of his gun by the armed men. A statement from the police said 3 of the 4 robbers were armed with handguns. One of the men reportedly entered the store first and relieved the security guard of his shotgun, clearing the way for the other robbers to enter the business place. The supermarket owner and the other employees were all held at gunpoint during the course of the robbery. The men were able to make good their escape even after the police cordoned off a section of the area close to the supermarket. With the bandits carting off the security video recorder, investigators now have a tougher time trying to ascertain the identities of the gun-touting men. The probe is ongoing tonight. A Durban street taxi driver and the woman from A Fields of Fire have been taken into police custody after more than 30 pounds of marijuana was found stashed in the car they were traveling in. A police statement said the two were held at a roadblock on the Maikoni Public Road yesterday afternoon. The police conducted a search on the driver and the occupant, but after finding nothing on them, the trunk of the car was checked. In the trunk, the police said they found 2 large bags containing several compressed packages which contained the marijuana. The 2 persons were immediately informed of the discovery, and the taxi driver claimed ownership of the marijuana. However, they were both arrested and are likely to face charges soon. Across the region is coming up next. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc.
We all know a strong educational foundation is a key to successful learning. Global Technology combines award-winning curriculum with innovative technology and teacher support to help students reach their potential. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how Global Technology can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
Been through it all.
But as a people, we have
Weathered every storm.
And risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
Regardless of race,
class, or religion.
we are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Across the region right now, almost 3 months after recording its latest case of the coronavirus, Grenada has announced its 25th case, saying it is a national returning from Canada who breached the mandatory quarantine period for people returning from medium-risk destinations. The Ministry of Health has confirmed the diagnosis of the 25th person on mainland Grenada. In a statement, they also said that they are faced with a situation where a large number of locals are simply not adhering to all of the protocols. The protocols state that you must have a booking for a designated period upon entry to Grenada, which is to prepare for your quarantining, monitoring, and testing before going home. The chief medical officer says some of the returning nationals are very belligerent and combative and have been demonstrating very little care for the rest of the population. The Antigua and Barbuda government says it will be prepared to collapse the regional airline Liat if it does not emerge as a new and lean entity as part of the reorganizational plans for the cash-strapped airline. Appearing on a radio program, Prime Minister Gaston Brown told listeners that his administration is awaiting the new plan being devised by the administrator Cleveland Seafort, who he said has already indicated that new contracts would be handed to employees of the recapitalized airline. The Prime Minister said the new Liat would be operating with 4 aircraft rather than the 10 it had before, and the amount of people working for Liat going forward will be significantly reduced. Last week, the country's Minister of Information, Melford Nicholas, said the financially strapped regional airline Liat, which is undergoing that restructuring, is likely to return to the skies in November. And finally tonight, international news. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced that people must stay indoors from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. in Paris and 8 other cities to control the rapid spread of coronavirus in the country. The curfew will come into effect from this Saturday and last for at least 4 weeks, the president said. A state of emergency has also been declared in France. A further 22,951 infections were confirmed today. Across Europe, governments are introducing new restrictions to battle a second wave of infections. A partial lockdown is in effect in the Netherlands, and earlier on Wednesday, Spain's northeastern region said the bars and restaurants will be forced to close for 15 days from tomorrow. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.